Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios, and I know we're already starting by showing something pretty hefty, but I wanted to disclaim that this is my brother's manga ace, that he pulled during the pre-release event that we attended together, and I just wanted to be able to say that it made an appearance on my channel. So that's enough about that. But let's talk about One Piece Paramount War, the second booster pack in the game to come out to America, and I've been really excited about it. So, he may have pulled the amazing manga ace, but I was the one who won the pre-release overall. I won the pre-release winner card of Smoker, which was really nice. Smoker is a 3 cost to play, 5,000 power. Dawn 1, this character cannot be KO'd in battle by characters without the special attribute. But what you'll notice about Smoker, even more important than that, is this is a black card. Black is the new color that has been added to the One Piece card game as of this booster pack. And, well, that's pretty much all there is to say about it. It features the Paramount War, which is mostly covering the Impel Down arc and the Paramount War arc, which was Whitebeard against the Marines, and obviously Black is bringing all the Marine cards in. We also have a Paramount War pre-release pack that I'll be opening right now, hoping to get my hands on any member of the Straw Hat crew, but primarily Nico Robin because of obvious reasons. It is only the common and uncommons, and oh, actually, we didn't get Robin, but we did get the Moby Dick, which is cool because I do plan on playing Whitebeard. Our other pre-release card is Mr. 1, Daz Bones. So Mr. 1 is a 1 cost to play, 1,000 power, counter 1,000. His on-play effect, we can add a blue event card with a cost of 1 from our trash to our hand. The Moby Dick is a stage card, 2 cost to play. If we have 1 or less life cards, our Edward Newgate and all our characters with a type including Whitebeard Pirates gain 2,000 power. It also has the trigger of playing this card, which is really cool because the Moby Dick was kind of like a surprise during the Paramount War because he had the ship coded, Whitebeard had his ship coded so that it would be able to sneak under Marineford and pop up in the middle of their base rather than on the outside, so they were able to cut past a lot of defenses. But enough about my pre-release cards and winner cards and all that. Let's get into the actual box itself. So, as with a lot of Bandai games, we have a box promotion pack. This is the 1 card per pack. It's a box topper card. It's just one of the 6 cards found in this pack, but it's a more zoomed in picture. We also have the revision pack, which I think is a really cool thing for them to do. This is this is the errata of the first cards in the game. The revision pack, according to the back here, it is one of it is one of 5 different predetermined patterns. There are 7 cards from 33 different ones. So these are cards that have been revised. Their wording has been corrected, and it makes it just easier to understand what the true intention of the card was without having to go online. Another thing that's nice is it doesn't detract away from original people because this is a super rare card, but it's not holographic. It's just the Crocodile from the starter deck with better wording. So in this pack, we got the Crocodile from the starter deck, we got the Nami from the starter deck, we got Killer from a starter deck and Straw Sword. We also got Sentamaru, Lead Performer Disaster, and Onigashima Island. So the revision here for most of them is simply just wording it to make it understandable. In this case, changing the words, like rest 1 character or move 1 dawn. It just changes it to move up to 1 dawn or up to 1 character, like things like that. Anyways, our first pack from this box is our box topper, and we get an alternate art of Squard. 3 cost to play, 5,000 power. His on-play ability: if your leader's type includes Whitebeard Pirates, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 4,000 power during this turn and add 1 card from the top of your life cards to your hand. So, representing how Squard stabbed Whitebeard during the war. You lose a life card, but it's decent. It's decent. I mean, you can lower something by 4,000 power. This gets rid of. This helps you swing over the Big Fat Kaido. This helps you swing over that pesky Eustace Kid. There's a lot of features that help out with that card. I don't think I'd run more than one, but if I was going to only have one, I guess a box topper is a nice one to have. As is my channel tradition, we'll be starting with the bottom of the box. And look at this one. This pack is got a bit of a dent in it from being on the bottom. I'm hoping that's hoping that doesn't affect the cards inside, but we'll see. My superstition is that the bottom two packs usually have something good in them, so that, you know, if you're at a game store or something and you see there's only one pack left, don't give up on it just because it's the bottom of the box. Our first card ever is Usopp, a 3 cost to play, 5,000 power, 1,000 counter, vanilla green card, Straw Hat Crew, and a film card. Next one's a mouthful. We have You May Be a Fool, But I Still Love You. It is a 1 cost to play event card. Its main effect is if you have 3 or less life cards, you cannot add life cards to your hand using your own effects during this turn. This is pretty nice, in my opinion. It's good because it counteracts the Whitebeard ability, because at the end of Whitebeard's turn, you'll lose one of your life cards. But this also allows you, like if you play this card first, you can activate Squard by playing him, and then your opponent loses 4,000 power, but you don't lose a life card. Something to keep in mind. It also has a trigger. Up to one of your leader gains 1,000 power during this turn. It's got the same trigger as Guard Point from the starter deck. Not a great trigger. You're going to be wanting this more in hand to use it than anything. Next up, we have Saldeth, a 1/2 with 1,000 counter. All your Blugori gain blocker. So Saldeth himself is not a blocker, but the Blugoris, which we'll see later, are a 1 cost, 3,000 power, which means they are super useful as 1 cost blockers in purple, which doesn't have any. So something to keep in mind if you're building an Impel Down deck. Next we have Atmos, 4/6 for 1,000 counter. Just a Whitebeard pirate, one of the commanders, just another red vanilla. Then we have Django, a 2/3 with 1,000 counter. If you have his best bro in the world, full body, this character cannot be KO'd in battle. Nice. Then we have Moji, a 1/3 with 1,000 counter. And then we got his, we got Richie in the picture. He's just a vanilla card, but still nice. Then we have Sentomaru, a 2/3 with 1,000 power. Trigger effect, play this card. Again, generic, but black needs to catch up to the other colors. So getting things like the carrot equivalent in black, even though, there's not a lot of synergy yet for cards like this, eventually triggers will become more and more important. Then we have Bellamir, a 1/1 with 1,000 counter. Activate main, you may rest this character, give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 during this turn, then up to one of your leader or character cards gains 1,000 power during this turn. The big theme of black as a color is lowering the cost of your opponent's characters to enable abilities from your characters. It's a nasty combination with purple. There is a black-purple or a purple-black leader that's coming out in this pack, so to be able to combine stuff like King from the starter deck, or there's a Garp that when attacking he KOs a 2 cost. It's either a 2 cost or 0. We'll see him later, but by lowering the price of the cards in the area, you can take out some of your opponent's hard hitters in ways that are just not something the game had until this pack. Next up, we got Makino, 1 cost to play, 0 power with 2,000 counter. You may rest this character as her main effect and give one of your red characters with a cost of 1, 3,000 power during this turn. If you are running Zoro, this is going to be one of your powerhouse cards. Not only is she a great ability, but she is also a 2,000 counter. Then we have Diable Jambe, Venison Shot, It's a 2-cost to play event. KO one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 4 or less. Its trigger lets you play a character with a cost of 4 or less, and no base effect from your hand. So it would allow you to play the likes of Usopp from your hand. It's a great card. There's really not much else I can say. It's a very simple and easy to understand effect. And for our rares, we have Yamato, which she is just a really strong card. Borderline broken, but I haven't played enough against green in this set to really determine. She's a 4-cost to play, 6,000 power. I love that Yamato's also treated as Kozuki Oden because of everything that happened in the Wano arc. On play, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less. So this is a better version of Straw Sword, because, I mean, Straw Sword can rest anything, but Yamato can take out almost any blocker in the game aside from a new blocker that's coming out, and then the 7-cost blocker from the green starter deck. So yeah, this is going to be a powerhouse in any Wano-themed deck. And speaking of Wano, was I wrong? Was I wrong? Bottom of the box, we get the super rare Kozuki Oden. 8-cost to play, 8,000 power, activate main ability once per turn. You can rest 3 of your Dawn to set this character to active. So you can swing with him, and then you can active him and swing again. It's just like the Eustace Kid leader ability, except you don't have to discard a card to do so. Even better, his on-KO ability lets us play 1 green Land of Wano character with a cost of 3 from our deck. Then shuffle your deck. So, even if your opponent does manage to get rid of Oden, they have to deal with Izo, Kiku, Ashura Doji, Raizo, anything you need for your strategy right out of the deck. That's a great card to start with, let me tell you. Our next pack contains the Moby Dick, followed by the Sphinx, a 4/6 with 1,000 counter. It's just an Impel Down vanilla card. Nice effect, or nice existence, I guess. Then we have Wanda, a 2/3 with 1,000 power. On play, we can play up to 1 Mink-type character other than Wanda with a cost of 3 or less from our hand. 3 or less. So you could, if you're going second, you could play Wanda and then drop down a 3-cost Mink. You could get 5 Dawn on your very first turn, 5 Dawn worth of characters right to the board. That's I'm gonna have to take a look at all the other Minks in the game and see what I could pull off with that. That's an interesting combo. Next we have the event card Impel Down All-Stars. 1 cost to play, but its main effect is we can trash 2 cards from our hand. If our leader is an Impel Down type character specifically, we can then draw up to 2 cards. Its trigger lets us draw 2 cards. Ivankov, leader in this booster pack, relies heavily on your hand being empty, so being able to draw 2, trash 2, or just trash in general, because it says you can draw up to 2 cards, so if you need your hand empty, you don't have to draw any cards from this ability. So, something great for clearing your hand. Our next card is Frankie, a 5/7 with 1,000 counter, vanilla green. And then Strawberry, keeping in pattern with the Marines, this 4-cost to play, 5,000 power character has a when attacking ability. If there is a character with a cost of 0, your opponent cannot activate the blocker of any character with a cost of 5 or less during this battle. So, if you manage to get one of your opponent's characters down to 0, say with Bellamir's effect, the one we just showed earlier, you could swing and not have to worry about blocker from anything that costs more than Strawberry. This does extend to anything that has also been shrunken down. So if the 7-cost blocker Eustace has been shrunken down to a 5-cost blocker, he can't be activated either. It is based on the current cost of the characters, not based on their printed cost. Then we have Crocodile, a 5/7 with 1,000 counter, vanilla blue. And then Douglas Bullet, a 5/6 with 1,000 counter. On play, Dawn -1, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. So, good effect. Good for getting a blocker out of the way if you're trying to swing for game. Then we have Whitey Bay, 1/2 for 1,000 counter. Dawn 1, this character can attack your opponent's active characters. So she's good for clearing early game if you're trying to, your opponent's got their Namis on the board or their Jewelry Bonnies and they're trying to keep them safe. She basically prevents that. Oh, and our first leader card, Sanji. He's a 4 life, 5,000 power, a green and blue. So now green and blue are combined colors in this game. You can make a deck using those. Once per turn, when you play a character with no base effect from your hand, if you have 3 or less characters, set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active. So, if we have 5 Dawn and we play this vanilla Frankie, because he's got no abilities, Frankie ends up costing 3. I've experimented with the notion of this card, of this leader, but I'm interested to see if anyone has a deck list for it that is particularly strong, because I think it has the potential of flooding the board, but I don't know how broken that could be. For our rares, we have Inazuma, a 4/5 with 1,000 counter. If you have 1 or less cards in hand, this character gains 2,000 power, fitting with Ivankov's, impel down strategy. It is also a blocker, so during your opponent's turn, you potentially have a 7,000 blocker for only 4 Dawn. And speaking of impel down, we have Hannibal as our other. He is a 1 cost to play, 2,000 power, 1,000 counter. His on play lets us look at the top 5 cards of our deck, reveal a purple impel down card other than Hannibal, and add it to our hand. Place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So this is your impel down searcher for your purple impel down deck. Moving right along, we have Trafalgar Law, 2 cost to play, 3,000 power, 1,000 counter. His activate main ability is we can rest a Dawn and return this guy to our hand, then play up to 1 character with a cost of 3 from our hand. So you play him turn 1 if you're going second, otherwise you'll have to play him turn 2, but you can use his ability to make one of your green, or not green, just one of your 3 cost characters effectively cost 2 less at the cost of, not having law. So I would recommend doing something that would allow you to swing with him first. If you can't, it's all about your strategy, but I would try swinging with him before using his ability. Next up, we have King Du, 5/7 with 1,000 counter, just a vanilla red. He's of the Whitebeard Pirates. Oh, this is a good one, Deathwink. 3 cost to play counter, so you're gonna have to put a lot of Dawn aside for it, but up to 1 of your leader or characters gains 6,000 power during this battle. Then you draw until you have up to 2 cards in your hand. So if your hand is empty, which it should be with the blue impel down strategy, this will allow you to not only survive an attack, but draw cards to help protect you later. Its trigger effect is also pretty nice. Return up to 1 character with a cost of 7 or less to the owner's hand. This could help you get rid of Eustace Kid. This could help you get rid of the Luffy blocker. This could help you get rid of Doflamingo. There's a lot of cards you could get rid of with that trigger. So yeah, I'm probably going to run 4 Deathwinks if I make a blue impel down. Then we have Domino. She's a 2/2 with 1,000 counter, purple blocker. Same as Black Maria, but she's impelled down, which means Hannibal can search for her. Then we have Usopp and Jaguar D. Sol. 4 cost to play, 6,000 power, 1,000 counter, just a vanilla black, but still a very strong Marine and a glimpse into Robin's past, if you guys know the lore. Then we have Django, followed by Inuarashi. 3 cost to play, 4,000 power, 1,000 counter. If all of your Dawn cards are rested, this character cannot be removed from the field by your opponent's effects. So he can't be sent to the top of the life stack, he can't be bottom decked, he can't be put back into your hand. He can be KO'd in battle, but he can't be removed by any other means. So if you're looking for something sticky against blue or well, I guess blue's really the only one that does that. So if you're fighting blue, he's a pretty good card. Otherwise, your results may vary. Next we have Hydra, 1 cost to play, Dawn -1, so you'll be sending away the Dawn you used to activate this. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -3,000 power during this turn. This will allow you to swing multiple times with weaker characters at something that's pretty strong. Its trigger effect's pretty interesting too. If your opponent has 6 or more Dawn on their field, your opponent must return one of their Dawn cards, to their Dawn deck. Impel Down seems to have a strategy of doing a kind of a reverse ramp, where instead of trying to ramp up your own Dawn, you're preventing your opponent from gaining any of theirs. So, it's a way to accentuate that strategy. Oh, we have our first black leader card, Smoker. 5,000 power, 5 life. He has a ability of Dawn 1, activate main. So he has to have a Dawn on him to activate this. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 cost during this turn. Then, if there is a character with a cost of 0, this leader gains 1,000 power during the turn. So he'll be able to swing for 7 if your opponent has a 0 cost character. And you'll only need to use 1 Dawn to do it. It's a nice effect. I'm not really sure how it's going to go, because like I said, black's new, so not really sure which are good and which are bad cards, but for now, this is a pretty solid leader. And for our rares, we get Seaquake. 1 cost to play, main effect. If your leader's type includes Whitebeard Pirates, KO one of your opponent's characters with 3,000 power or less. Its trigger effect gives your opponent's leader or character card -3,000 power during this turn. It's a good defensive card. Oh, and our other rare is Luffy. 7 cost to play, 7,000 power, blocker, very nice. On play effect, you can play up to 1 film or Straw Hat Crew type character with a cost of 4 or less from your hand. This Luffy begins a cascade of multiple effects if you get all of the Straw Hat film cards in this booster pack. I'll explain it in better detail later as the cards come out, but we have a Luffy that drops 4 costs, we have a 4 cost Brook that's going to drop 3 costs, there's a Robin that drops 2 costs, so you can easily flood the board if you get all your ducks in a row. Our next pack starts with Magura. A 1 cost to play, 2,000 power, 1,000 counter. His on-play effect gives one of your red characters with a cost of 1, 3,000 power during this turn. So, you plop him down and you get 3 Dawn worth of power up for the cost of 1, but keep in mind, he's still on the board, which means next turn, you could play another Magura and power up your previous one to swing for 5 again. So, it allows you to flood the board with low-cost characters and then strike your opponent repeatedly. Our next card is Venom Road. 3 cost to play, main effect, add a Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. Its trigger effect is actually the same as Hydra. If your opponent has 6 or more Dawn card on the field, your opponent returns a Dawn card from their field to their Dawn deck. What's nice about Venom Road is the card that comes out is active, so effectively Venom Road actually only costs 2 to play, but you'll have 1 fresh Dawn that you can either use for your Blast Breath or to play a 1 cost like the Blue Gory. Whatever you're planning on, you'll have an active Dawn after activating Venom Road. And to complement Inuarashi, we have Nekomamushi. 3 cost to play, 4,000 power, blocker. Just another of the 9 red scabbards. So. Next we have Thatch, a 6 cost to play, 8,000 power, 1,000 counter, vanilla red for the Whitebeard Pirates. You can see that he has found the Yami Yami no Mi, the Darkness fruit, and there's the jealous Blackbeard in the background, plotting the inevitable demise of Thatch, unfortunately. Then we have New Kama Land, the first stage card for blue ever. 1 cost to play, activate main. You may rest this stage. If your leader is specifically Emporio Ivankov, you can draw 1 card and trash 1 card from your hand. Then trash up to 3 cards from your hand. So if you're looking to cycle through, you got this nice draw 1, trash 1 every turn. But if you're looking to empty your hand, you can trash in total 4 cards from your hand in order to help free up some space. Next we have Kabaji. 2 cost to play, 3,000 power, 1,000 counter. His on-play effect, if you have Moji, you can draw 2 cards and trash 1 from your hand. It's actually a really nice effect, being able to draw 2 cards like that. It's cool that the Buggy Pirates are getting some support. I wish they were their own archetype, but maybe in a few booster packs we'll see something for them. Because right now we need to focus on black cards, getting the Navy off the ground. We got Tashigi here, 3 cost to play, 5,000 power. Dawn 1, when attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters -3 cost during this turn. And another Navy member. We got Don Quixote Rocinante. 2 cost to play, 2,000 power, 1,000 counter, blocker. Just a 2 cost blocker for black. Then we got Mr. 1, Das Bones. Ooh, and Tony Chopper. 2 cost to play, 2,000 power, counter plus 2,000, so already a great card. Dawn 1, when attacking, rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. So Chopper's not that strong, having only 2,000, power. So you're going to have to put a lot of Dawn on him before you can actually hurt the enemy leader. However, he is good for taking out smaller threats and, resting a blocker that could potentially stop him from taking out said smaller threats. And for our rares, we have Mr. 3 Galdino. 4 cost to play, 5,000 power, 1,000 counter. He is a blocker. However, at the end of your turn, you can trash a card from your hand and set him as active. What's nice about this is you can swing with him and you'll have the ability to, block at the same time, because with the impel down escapees, you're trying to empty your hand. So having a card that at the end of your turn lets you do that is very helpful. Oh, and there we have it. The secret rare, or one of the secret rares of this booster pack, we got Kuzan. He is a whopping 10 cost to play and a whopping 10,000 power, but that's not what makes him so terrifying. During your turn, all of your opponent's characters have -5 cost. And his on-play ability, which activates after his main ability, you can KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. So as long as Kuzan's on the board, even the big blocker of Mr. 3 here will just immediately be KO'd by his on-play effect. What's great about this is if you have 2 Kuzan on the board, your opponent's characters are constantly 0 cost, because as of this video, there is no character in the game with less than 10 cost, or more than 10 cost. So if you can get 2 on the board, all of your abilities that get rid of 0 cost characters will instantly be okay. This is a great one. He is my favorite Admiral, so I'm just happy to have the card in general. This is a really good way to start off a box. Our next pack starts off with the first green stage card in the game. It's the Land of Wano. 1 cost to play. Its activate main effect is you can trash a Land of Wano type card from your hand and rest this stage. Then set up to one of your Dawn cards as active. It's okay. I feel like it kind of sucks that you have to discard a card just to set a Dawn card as active. So effectively you can make one of your cards cost 1 less, because you can toss a card, gain a Dawn after having spent your Dawn on something. I don't know. I feel like maybe you need... I don't know. I don't know what I would change about this to make it more appealing, but as of right now, it's one of the few cards that I've actually looked at and said, nah, I don't think I need that in my deck. Following it up, though, we got Doban here. He is a 2/4 with 1,000 counter, just a vanilla purple. Got another Magura, Venom Road, Nekomamushi, Komil. He is a 1/3, 1,000. He's just another vanilla, but he's a Navy captain, so that's kind of cool. Then we have another Kabaji. Don Quixote do Flamingo. 1 cost to play, 2,000 power, no counter. His on play lets us look at the top 3 cards of our deck and place them at the top or bottom in any order, so a little more clairvoyance for you Warlord players out there. His Don 1, when attacking, we can trash a card in our hand and place one of our opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less to the bottom of the owner's deck. So those 1 cost laws, those 1 cost beige that are blocking your path, you can just bottom deck them using Doflamingo's ability. Then we got Douglas Bullet and the dual-colored leader, Monkey D. Garp. This is Luffy's grandpa. 5,000 power, 4 life, and when this leader, or one of your characters, is given a Don, give up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 7 or less, -1 cost during this turn. So, in order to activate the Navy effects, the black cards that KO 0-cost characters, you could put a bunch of Don on Garp, swing with him to hurt your opponent, and then activate what cards you need to get rid of anything you've lowered using his ability. I've been trying to make this work. Red and black just don't seem to go together yet, but maybe in a couple booster packs this thing could see a lot of extra love. Ooh! Next we have Mr. 2 Bon Crudet, Bentham to his friends. He is a 5 cost to play, 5,000 power, 2,000 counter, very nice. Don 1, when attacking, you may trash 1 card from your hand, place up to 1 character with a cost of 2 or less to the bottom of the owner's deck. Then, at the end of this battle, place this character at the bottom of the owner's deck. Mr. 2 shows up, does something super heroic, and then disappears. Unfortunate, but you will live on in our hearts, Bon John. The straw hat we never had. Ooh, still an impel down here. We got Shiryu. 4 cost to play, 5,000 power, 1,000 counter. His on play, Don -1, and KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less. So he can get rid of those little blockers, or if you use the purple-black leader, you'll be able to get rid of bigger characters using this ability. Alright, we're starting to see repeats in our commons now, because we got Thatch, we got New Kama Land, oh, we got Jinbei, a 2/4, 1,000 counter, just another member of the Straw Hat crew of Vanilla Green. We got Blenheim, a 2 cost to play, 3,000 power blocker. He is a member of the Whitebeard Pirates, just one of their other division commanders. Then we got Yasakani, Sacred Jewel. 1 cost to play counter, trash a card from your hand, and one of your characters, the one you select, cannot be KO'd during this battle. But what's more interesting about this card, at least to me, is you can KO one of your opponent's stages with a cost of 3 or less. So, right now, stages aren't a major part of the game, I'm afraid to admit, unless you're counting New Kama Land. I think that's going to be a big player. But this is a great way to surprise your opponent by getting rid of their stage, maybe even before they use it during their turn. Then we have Tashigi, Roshinante, Onigumo, 5/6 with 1,000 counter. If there is a character with a cost of 0, this character gains Banish. Banish is just a really good effect. It just gets rid of a card without letting you trigger it or put it in your hand. So, yeah, go him. Then we have Squard. And Shishilian, who could be played by Wanda's effect. He's a mink. 2/3, 1,000 counter. His on play, you can rest 2 Dawn and set up to one of your minks with a cost of 5 or less as active. So, this will allow you to swing again with one of your 5 or less cost minks. Next we have the event card Meteor Volcano. 2 cost to play. KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less. Its trigger effect lets us draw 2, trash 1. Again, following that Navy strategy, the black card strategy of lower the cost, knock them out when they're weak. Then we have Vista, a 3/3 with 1,000 counter. On play, KO one of your opponent's characters with 3,000 power or less. Now, mind you, he does have 3,000, so your opponent's Vista could KO your Vista, so be sure to time it properly when plopping that guy down. Following up that pack, we have the Moby Dick, followed by a Sphinx, then Wanda, then Impel Down All-Stars, Frankie, Crocodile, Doberman, a 2/4 with 1,000, vanilla black card. Full Body, 2 cost to play, 3,000 power, 1,000 counter, and if you got his best bro Django in play, when this guy's attacking, he gains 3,000 power. So if Django's on the board, Full Body is hitting for a massive 6,000, which is nice against, most guys have a 5,000, so you'll need to at least expend one of your Dawn to survive that. Ooh, next we have Curly Dadan. 2 cost, 3,000, 1,000 counter. Her on play lets us look at the top 5 cards of our deck. We reveal a red character with a cost of 1 and add it to hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of the deck. So, this is the searcher for the 1 cost red strategy. She herself is not a 1 cost though, which means she won't be able to look for herself. But that's not really what you need her for. She is a 3,000 power, so in like a Zoro strategy, say, you only need 1 Dawn on her to swing for 5. Then we have Hydra. Oh, and Carrot. This is the one that Shishilian will want to restand. 5,000 power, 5 cost, but a counter of 2,000. Very nice. At the end of your turn, set one of your Dawn cards as active. It's an okay effect, but still, it's a mink, which means you'll be able to get a lot of motion out of it with the help of other minks. Ooh, this is the first 0 cost event card I've seen. Gum Gum Rain. Its counter power is you may trash a card from your hand. One of your leader or character cards gains 3,000 power during this turn. Its trigger effect returns a 2 cost or lower to the owner's hand. This is great because if you have 0 Dawn, now your opponent has to consider that instead of having counters in hand, you actually have this card, which is worth 3,000 counter, rather than the 1 or 2 they might be predicting you have. Ooh, and that's a good end to, the Dawn cards are great. Oh, this actually gives me a moment to talk about the Dawn cards. So, the Dawn card for this booster is Shanks, the scene at the end of Marineford where he came to put an end to this war. Other than that, it's just a normal Dawn, 1,000 power. But the Dawns in this deck actually have an advertisement on the back talking about the tutorial app and how you can give a try of the starter deck Straw Hat Crew and the Animal Kingdom Pirate starter decks. So I kind of like the little things on the back of the Dawn. It's not like anyone has a short supply of them, but this is a great Dawn. I hope to get myself a full set of 10. I have 9 from the previous booster, so we'll have to wait and see, but for now, it's great to have just 1. This pack starts off with the Blueberry I was mentioning. So they're 1 cost to play, 3,000 power, 1,000 counter. They are a nice generic vanilla purple, but when teamed up with Saldeth from earlier, they become 1 cost blockers, which at 3,000 power is a great deal for your 1 cost blocker. Next we have Zoro, 4/6, 1,000 counter, just fits in with that Straw Hat Crew film strategy that's coming out in this green deck. Then we got the Moby Dick, a Sphinx, Dracula Mihawk, 6 cost to play, 8,000 power, 1,000 counter, big vanilla blue beat stick, and one of the 7 Warlords of the Sea. Can't be played by that Doflamingo, but still a good card. We got Yamakaji, a 3/5 with 1,000 counter, just another vanilla black. Another Strawberry. Arabesque Brickfist. So, 2 cost to play. Return up to 1 character with a cost of 4 or less to the owner's hand. Trigger activates the main effect. My brother says this is the more efficient Sables, and I have to agree with him. 4 cost to play, get rid of a 7 is nice, but for the most part, you're only going to be using an ability like this to push back a blocker out of your way, rather than trying to delay your opponent's inevitable. Oh, speaking of blockers, we got Mino Koala, a 4/5 with 1,000 counter. He is a blocker. The on KO effect, if your leader is an Impel Down, you can add a Dawn card from your Dawn deck and rest it. So, while Impel Down does not have access to Onigashima, Impel Down does have KOs like this and the ability to stall your opponent's ramping that'll allow you to get ahead of them. Then we have Suru here, 1/0 with 2,000 counter. On play, give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 cost during this turn. Oh, and here's another part of that cascading strategy I was mentioning. 4 cost to play, 5,000 power, 1,000 counter, Brook. On play, lets you play a film or Straw Hat Crew type character with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. So, you play Luffy, you play Brook, and then you can drop down Jinbei, which is kind of nice. Oh, and speaking of kind of nice, we got our hands on another super rare here. This is Admiral Akainu, otherwise known as Sakazuki. 6,000 power, 7,000 power, 6 cost. His on play is you can trash a card from your hand and KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. If you have the secret rare Kuzan, reducing the cost down to 5 even on the mightiest of opponents, this guy can finish them off. So, again, the Kuzan card, I feel like you don't even want to swing. Even though he's got 10,000 power, I think you're better off keeping him there as just a dangerous aura that your opponent can't get over. I know, I spend all my time with Sakazuki talking about how cool Kuzan is, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have negative opinions on Sakazuki. So they probably don't mind me talking as little as possible about him. But you know who I want to talk about? Little Oars Jr. 7 cost to play, whopping 9,000 power, 1,000 counter. He is an ally of the Whitebeard Pirates, just a vanilla red beat stick for red. This is the other great counter that came out in this booster, Onigiri. 3-sword style Onigiri, I should say. A 3 cost to play counter gives you 6,000 power during this turn. Then, you can place up to 1 character with a cost of 3 or less and no base effect from your hand. Its trigger effect lets us rest a leader or character card with a cost of 5 or less. So if you're worried about the opponent's leader striking you for game, Onigiri will let you rest them. Otherwise, this is a great way to fill up your board during your opponent's turn by letting you play another character. Then we got Solitaire here, a 3/5 1,000, just another vanilla purple card. Ooh, and Dogura. 1 cost to play, 2,000 power, 1,000 counter, fitting in this new red strategy of 1 cost to play characters. Activate main, you may rest this character, then play up to 1 red character other than Dogura with a cost of 1 from your hand. So, on turn 1, you play him, you rest him, bam. Another 1 cost red character. You got 2 guys out there on your very first turn. Our next card is the stage card, Impel Down. Activate main effect. You may trash 1 card from your hand and rest this stage. Look at 3 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal 1 Impel Down type card and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So, you gotta trash 1 to draw 1, so it's not a draw engine, but it's a great way to cycle through, which is something that most decks need, purple included. Now we have Gecko Moria, a 4/6 with 1,000, a vanilla blue, but I would like to point out, he is a 7 Warlord of the Sea character, which means the Doflamingo leader from the last booster can benefit from having this in his deck. Then we got Saul, and Bartholomew Kuma, a 3/3 with 1,000 counter. His on-play effect lets us look at the 2 cards from the top of our deck and reveal up to 1 7 Warlord of the Sea type card and add it to our hand. Then place the rest, or in this case the other one, at the top or bottom of the deck in any order. And then we got Chopper and Whitebeard, the currently most powerful leader in the game. Or, well, powerful in terms of his actual power up here. 6,000 power, 6 life. That alone makes him seem like a very broken card until you read your end of turn ability. Add 1 card from the top of your life cards to your hand. This is one of those cards where I just love what Bandai does with the lore they're given. During the Paramount War, during the War of the Best, Whitebeard was dying, and it shows in him losing a life card at the end of each of his turns. For our rares, we have Sadie, 3/3 with 2,000 counter, But what's cool about her is her on-play ability lets us play a Jailer Beast from our hand. So Mino Koala, and we'll see the other one, Minotaur, later in this pack, I hope. But they're both able to be played as soon as she drops down to the board. And if you don't have them, she's a 2,000 counter, so either way, she's sitting in your hand pretty until you absolutely need her. Our other rare is Sengoku, a 2-cost, 3,000, 2,000 counter, which is always appreciated. Don 1, when attacking, give an opponent's character -2 during this turn, fitting for the Navy strategy. Our next pack contains Wanda, Impel Down All-Stars, Frankie, Little Oars Jr., 3 Sword Style Onigiri, Crocodile, Doberman, Rakuyo, 3/4 with 1,000 counter. Don 1, all of your characters with a type including Whitebeard Pirates gain 1,000 power. This does include Whitebeard Pirates allies, I believe. So, again, the Whitebeard allies are here to help save Ace, so this guy's going to power up both the Whitebeard Pirate crew and their needed allies. Next we have Kozuki Toki, a 0 power, 1 cost with 1,000 counter. If you have a Kozuki Odin character, though, she gains blocker, which is nice. This gives another blocker to the game in addition to the Capone that we had from the starter deck. It also works with the Yamatos, who also count as Kozuki Odin, as well as the big boy Kozuki Odin himself, who can restand. Toki is a great way to protect him while you've swung twice and now he's vulnerable. Here he is, Emporio Ivankov. 5,000 power, 5 life. End of your turn. If you have 0 cards in hand, draw 2 cards. The whole strategy of the Impel Down escapees is to have your hand as empty as possible so that Ivankov can draw 2 new cards at the end of your turn. You just gotta kind of leave it all up to luck that those 2 cards can help you during your opponent's turn. Next we have Buggy, a 1/2, 1,000 counter. On play, look up at the top 5 cards of your deck and reveal 1 Impel Down card other than Buggy and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So, Buggy is the searcher of the Impel Down strategy. Oh, this is a good one for film decks. 2 cost to play, 3,000 power, 2,000 counter. This is Shiki the Golden Lion, who has a wonderful trigger of Don -1, play this card. Unlike the other trigger, play this card, he has a 2,000 counter to him. So he is a stronger card in that you want him in your deck, but if push comes to shove and you need an extra swing next turn, he makes a good surprise appearance onto your board. Hopefully, after your opponent has done all their swings and can't do anything about him. Next pack, we have Trafalgar Law, King Dew, Deathwink, Domino. Oh, hang on, I accidentally organized some of my green cards on the wrong pile. Let me just fix that real quick. I'm used to Digimon, the cards are in a different order for organizing. Anyways, we got Usopp, Django, Moji, Helmeppo. His trigger lets us play him, which is nifty. He's a 3 cost to play, 3,000 power, 1,000 counter. When attacking, give up to one of your opponents -2 cost during this turn. Then, if there is a character with a cost of 0, he gains 2,000 power. Mind you that this card does not require a Dawn attached to it. So, you swing with Helmeppo, you turn one of their blockers into a 0 cost, and suddenly he's got 5,000 power with no need for Dawn attachment. I think he's going to be a good card in black strategies, but time will tell. Then we got Makino. Oh, and Brandy World. This card, I'm going to level with you, is not good, but it is hilarious. So, the character has the power of the More fruit, which allows him to multiply the force of something by 100-fold. So, 8 cost to play, 8,000 power, Dawn -8. So you have to give up 8 Dawn for this, keep it in mind. This character gains, and I quote, this is not a typo on the card, 792,000 power during this turn. So, you activate the ability, you look your opponent dead in the eye, and you say, I swing at leader for 800,000 power. I love it. It's amazing. I think it's hilarious. Obviously, 2-cost blocker just stops it right there, but your opponent would certainly not be able to counter that swing, so I think it's great. That's hilarious. And for our rares, we have Marco here. 4-cost, 5,000, and 1,000 counter. He is a blocker. However, his on-KO ability is very interesting. We can trash a card with Whitebeard Pirates in its type from our hand, and if we have 2 or less life cards, we can play this character from our trash rested. And if you have enough cards in hand, you can do this until you run out of cards in hand. It is not a once per turn on KO. So Marco can stick around to protect Whitebeard if you have 2 or less life. Now, you can't block every single attack because he comes back rested, but if you need him to, he could stick around indefinitely until your opponent's turn, in which you could then swing 5,000 power to at least get 1 hit off on your opponent. Ooh, next we have Paradise Totuska. Tosuka? Paradise Tater Tot. 1 cost to play, but you can rest an opponent's character with a cost of 4 or less. Its trigger lets us KO an opponent's rested character with a cost of 3 or less. Fitting for the green strategy with the resting your opponent and active your cards and all that, but it's a great card. I've seen many people use it already, especially during the pre-release. I think it's just a really good, solid choice for any green deck. Next we have You May Be a Fool, But I Still Love You. Saldef. Atmos. The Land of Wano. Doban. Sentamaru. Komil. Arabasque Berkfist. Inurashi. Isuka. 1 cost to play, 4,000 power, 1,000 counter. Dawn 1. When this character battles and KOs your opponent's character, set this character as active. Everybody's been calling this card Black Hawkins, and I definitely agree with them. However, I do appreciate the caveat that she has to KO the character that she fought. So it's the same card in spirit, but I think it's definitely a more balanced card in terms of what it can do. For our rares, we have Inazuma. Ooh, and Kuzan. But not the secret rare Kuzan, mind you. This is the super rare Kuzan. But it's okay. He's my favorite admiral, so I can have 2 copies of him in 2 different ways. 4 cost to play, 5,000 power. His on-play effect lets us draw 1 card, so you're not even losing a card by playing him. And when attacking, give an opponent's character -4 to their cost during this turn. A great setup for other black cards. Just a very solid character, and because of the on-play draw 1, he's a great card to run 4 of because you're not losing anything even by just dropping him down. So even if your opponent has an answer to get rid of him, like a jet pistol or a straw sword or something like that, he still doesn't make you lose a card because you drew something upon playing him. Next up we have Solitaire. Dogora, Impel Down, Trafalgar Law, King Dew, Full Body, Gecko Moria, Morley. 4 cost to play, 5,000 power, counter 1,000. When attacking, if you have 1 or less cards in your hand, your opponent cannot activate the blocker of any character with a cost of 5 or less during this battle. So, while not a member of the Impel Down escapees, this does work great with Ivankov, who wants you to have a very small hand. So Morley can't be blocked by 5 cost or less. Now, blue and black are not a combined color yet, which is good for now. But once it is, this will be great with navy strategies as well. Then we have Hydra, Helmeppo, and Kobe. 3 cost to play, 4,000 power, 1,000 counter. On playability, we can trash a card from our hand and KO an opponent's character with a cost of 3 or less. Very solid. And for our rares, we got Jozu, 4/4 with 2000 counter. If he has a Dawn attached, he will gain Rush if you have 2 or less life and your leader is Whitebeard. Has Whitebeard Pirates. So he is a very, very specific card. So he's like, this has to be with the Whitebeard Pirates, has to be low on life. He's a very niche card. However, having the counter of 2000 makes him great during your early game too to keep yourself alive. So, we are finally halfway through this box. I've been chatty because I'm also not only talking about the cards themselves, but some of the lore behind them. I hope you guys, let me know in the comments if you guys want to hear about the characters themselves on the card, or if you just want me to talk about the cards themselves. Anyways, this pack has Magura, Venom Road, Nekomamushi, Thatch, Newkama Land, Kabaji, Tashigi, Squard. Oh, Minotaur! 4 cost to play, 5000 power, 1000 counter. This is another Jailer Beast, so Sadie can summon him. He has double attack, and the same on KO as Mino Koala. On KO, if your leader is an Impel Down type, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and rest it. And this is Zephyr, Zeto, Z, the former Admiral who is the leader of the Neo Navy. 5000 power, 4 life because he is purple and black. His when attacking is Dawn -4, KO an opponent's character with a cost of 3 or less, and he gains 1000 power during this turn. So you can get rid of, well, with the right Navy cards involved, you can get rid of pretty much anything, and then be able to swing with an additional boost. Then we have for our rares, Hannibal and Hina. 5 cost, 6000 power, 1000 counter. She's a blocker, but her on block lets us select one of our opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less, and they cannot attack during this turn. A nice little reference to her Cage Fruit. She's blocking one guy, but she's also stopping another person. I like that it's, 6 cost or less? That's pretty nice. There's a lot of cards in the game that, 7 or more is not the most common cost of characters, so. Alright, next we have Deathwink, Domino, Usopp, You May Be a Fool But I Still Love You, Jaguar Sol, Django, Moji, Whitey Bay, Tony Chopper, Boa Hancock. 4 cost to play, 5000 power, 1000 counter. When attacking, draw 1 card and trash 1 card from your hand. Then, trash up to 3 cards from your hand. So, works great with the Impel Down strategy, but can also fare well as a 7 Warlords of the Sea strategy. It all just depends on how you like to play with your hand, I guess. And for our rares, we have Carrot and Ace, the star attraction of the Whitebeard war with the Navy. I mean, Ace is the whole reason it even happened. 7 cost to play, 7000 power. His on play gives 2 of your opponent's characters minus 3000 power during the turn. Then, if your leader's type includes Whitebeard Pirates, this character also gains Rush. Rush is just a great power in general. It is tied to specifically a Whitebeard leader, but this is great for taking out smaller threats by lowering their power, or, bigger threats because Ace himself could rush into them. Either way, good card, just glad I got a copy of it. Alright, in our next pack we have You May Be a Fool But I Still Love You, Saldeth, Atmos, Land of Wano, Dobon, Moji, Sentamaru, Komil, Rakuyo, Oni Gumo. Oh, and for our rares, we got Monkey D. Garp. He is a Dawn 2. When attacking, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. He's a 2 cost to play with 3000 power, but he is also a 2000 counter. So he's just a very solid card overall, especially with the black strategy. Oh! And this is this is actually the alt art for it, but this is Edward Newgate. So that's kind of cool. Look at that. You got a nice zoom in on his face. This is Whitebeard himself. A 9 cost to play, 10,000 power, and his on-play ability gives our leader 2,000 power until the start of your next turn. Then you cannot add life points to your life cards to your hand during using your own effects during this turn. In addition, if he's got 2 Dawn attached, when attacking, you can KO one of your opponent's characters with 3,000 power or less. So, obviously, this card is designed for the Whitebeard leader himself because, he stops you from losing your own life cards. But he works great in any red deck because your leader will go up to 7,000 power, which means it'll be harder to swing over. If you're Whitebeard, it'll be 8,000 power, even harder to swing over. And then the motivation to put 2 Dawn on him gives you a 12,000 swing, and you're getting rid of a blocker or some small scale threat. This is just a great card overall. 9 cost to play means it's not going to be an exactly early game, but I would definitely run at least 2, maybe even 4, if you're going to be making a Edward Newgate Whitebeard Pirates deck. That's funny. I was actually just thinking to myself, I've seen the secret rare, but I don't see any alt arts or anything. I was wondering if maybe they were all hidden, but there's one. Maybe the other one is hiding here behind Saldeth, or Atmos, or the Land of Wano. Got Dolban, Magura, Sentamaru, Camille, Daifugo. It's amazing. We still haven't seen all the uncommons. 3 cost to play, 5,000 power. On play, Dawn -2. You can play up to 1 smile type character other than Daifugo with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. Smile isn't exactly a meta strategy, but if you're going for something fun, there's enough smile cards to actually pull off something for a strategy. Next up, we have Ice Age. 1 cost to play. Give one of your opponent's characters -5 cost during this turn. Its trigger effect lets us KO a character with the 3 cost or less. Ice Age is a great way to set up for Garp or Sengoku or any other effects you're trying to pop off. It's only 1 cost to get rid of 5. Very nice. Next we have Magellan, the Warden of Impel Down. 5,000 power, 5 life. During your turn, once per turn, when a Dawn card on your field is returned to your Dawn deck, which is very common to do in purple, this leader gains 1,000 power during this turn. It's an okay ability. Mostly you just want Magellan because he's an Impel Down leader, which activates all the other Impel Down effects. Getting an extra 1,000 power is nice because it'll allow Magellan to swing for 6,000 power instead of 5, but otherwise he's a good leader. It's not, I wouldn't say he's the great of the deck, or of this booster, but he's a good one. For our rares, we get Gum Gum Rain and Little Sadie. In our next pack, we have Jinbei, Blenheim, Yasakani Sacred Jewel, Blue Gory, Roanoa Zoro, Roshinante, Dracule Mihawk, Doflamingo, Diablo Jambe Venison Shot. This 2 cost to play event card lets us KO an opponent's rested character with a 4 cost or less. Then the trigger effect of it lets us play a character with a cost of 4 or less and no base effect from our hand. So both of these work great with the Sanji strategy of playing, cards that have no special abilities, but otherwise it's a pretty solid card. 2 cost to get rid of a 4 cost is appreciated. Then we have Curly Dadan, and for our rares we have Seaquake and Monkey D. Luffy. Starting it off, we have the Moby Dick, a Sphinx, Wanda, Impel Down All-Stars, Yamakaji, Strawberry, Crocodile, Inuarashi, Mr. One, Brandy World, and for our rares, Monkey D. Garp. Oh, and another copy of Edward Newgate. This is not the alt art, this is the regular one. I'll spare you the details of the card because, well, I just talked about him, but this is the Box's way of telling me that I must build a Whitebeard deck because I already have 2 copies of him now, so must build Whitebeard. Perfectly fine though, because I'm already a red player, so it's kind of a lateral move for me. In our next pack, we have Little Oars Jr., 3-sword style Onigiri, Solitaire, Dogura, Impel Down, Doberman, Full Body, Gecko Moria, Suru, Bartholomew Kuma, and for our rares we get Hina, and Magellan. Not to be confused with the leader Magellan that I just pulled earlier. This Magellan is 5 cost to play, 6,000 power. His on play is a Dawn -1 to make our opponent Dawn -1, which is nice. But even nicer is during our opponent's turn, if this character gets KO'd, your opponent returns 2 Dawn cards from their field to their Dawn deck. This can be devastating. And what's worse about it is your opponent's probably going to have to get rid of Magellan because he is 6,000 power. So it's going to be very easy for you to just constantly swing with him. So they have to decide, do I get rid of him and lose the Dawn, or is it worth it to let you keep swinging at me constantly? Our next pack has Frankie, Little Oars Jr., Onigiri, Solitaire, Dogura, Doberman, Full Body, I'm detecting a pattern, Isuka, and Whitebeard Pirates, a 1 cost to play event card that lets us look at the top 5 cards of our deck, reveal a character with Whitebeard Pirates in its traits, and add it to hand, then place the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order. Its trigger activates its main effect. This is the Searcher card of the Whitebeard Pirate strategy. So everybody who's talked to me about the upcoming booster, the Now Here booster, has told me Kinemon is going to be the best leader. He has 5,000 power, 5 life, green leader, activate main once per turn. If you have 1 or less characters, the next time you play a Land of Wano type character card with a cost of 3 or more from your hand, during this turn, the cost will be reduced by 1. So, that big scary Kozuki Odin we pulled at the start of this box, he is going to be a 7 cost for all of his crazy shenanigans. This is a really easy way to ramp up your board before your opponent has anything to say about it, but the caveat here is that you do have to have a small board to begin with. You can only have 1 character or less to activate this ability. But, something to think about, it says Land of Wano specifically. So, if you had 1 character, activate Kinemon's ability, and then played a non-Land of Wano character, the cost reduction would still be there for the first Land of Wano character you play. Something to keep in mind if you want to be cheeky to your opponent. For our rares, we get Mr. 3 and the Judgment of Hell. So, this 2 cost to play event card is a Dawn -1 that gives 2 of your opponent's leaders or character cards minus 3,000 power during this turn. Its trigger effect is just like the other ones from this booster. If your opponent has 6 or more Dawn on the field, your opponent returns 1 Dawn from their field to their Dawn deck. So, pretty nice. This is just like the other 2, these are just the powers of Magellan's Venom fruit, and this is the most powerful one of all. Alright, we are down to our last 3 booster packs. We've already seen a secret rare, we've already seen an alt art, so we'll just have to see if these last 3 packs can pull us something interesting, something to glitter on our way home. But the bronze medal goes to Venom Road, Nekomamushi, Thatch, New Kama Land, Jinbei, Kabaji, Tashigi, Nico Robin, who I actually haven't pulled until the 3rd to last booster pack. Crazy. 3 cost to play, 4,000 power, 1,000 counter. On play, lets you play a film or Straw Hat Crew type character with a cost of 2 or less from hand, so she completes the big cascade of Luffy to Brook to Robin to whatever 2 or lower card you want to play. Then we have Mino Koala, Curly Dadan, And for our rares, Sengoku and Marco. Here comes our silver medal. Starting with Impel Down, Trafalgar Law, King Dew, Deathwink, Domino, Gecko Moria, Saul, Nico Robin again, Bartholomew Kuma, Minotaur, and for our rares we got Smoker. Well, not a super rare, but a new card. 3 cost to play, 4,000 power, 1,000 counter. This character cannot be KO'd by effects, so only by combat can you get rid of Smoker. When attacking, if there is a character with a cost of 0, this character gains 2,000 power during this battle. So you reduce something to 0, you swing with Smoker, and you've already got 6,000 without even having to attach a Dawn. Oh, and our other rare is Masked Deuce, someone who we also haven't seen yet. 2 cost to play, 3,000 power, 2,000 counter. Dawn 2, when attacking, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 2,000 power or less. Not as good as, say, Beppo from the promo cards, but it's still cool to see that novel characters, like Masked Deuce has never appeared in the manga, he is just from the Ace novel, but he's still getting a card. Just like the movie characters are getting cards, like Uta. I think it's really cool that all of the One Piece media has been considered when making this card game. And now, the final booster pack of this channel's very first box. Let's see if the gold medal can bring home something special with Blenheim, Yasakani Sacred Jewel, Blugori, Roanoa Zoro, Rocinante, Dracula Mihawk, Yamakaji, Helmeppo, Doflamingo, Venison Shot, and for our rares, Paradise Tater Tot. And we got a super rare at the last minute. This is Nami of the Straw Hat Crew. 3 cost to play, 5,000 power. She has both on play and when attacking. Rest a Dawn, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and reveal a film type character, film type card other than Nami, and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So to use her ability when you play her, you need 4 Dawn, which honestly, after looking at everything else in the Straw Hat Crew film deck strategy, I think you're actually better off going second using this strategy. So altogether though, let's take a look at what we got. Alright, so we got ourselves 1 secret rare, we got ourselves 1 alternate art, and then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 super rares. That's a pretty good haul for a first box, and honestly, I'm just happy I got my hands on Kuzan, which means next box, I'm hoping we can pull the other secret rare so that I don't have to go hunting everything down. I think between this and my pre-release packs that I opened, I will probably have at least 1 copy of everything for collection if I can pull Uta next time. But that's not now, that is later. So if you saw a character that you really were hoping to see, or maybe you didn't see a character, either way, let me know in the comments what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching as always. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.